IMU reveals their true power. Elder Saturn is no more, and a new elder appears. Dragon returns to the story, and more happens in this insane, action-packed chapter, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Channel your inner P-King and smash that like button if you enjoy seeing One Piece videos like this one on the channel and want to keep them coming. Make this the video you join the knockup by subscribing and hitting that notification bell so you don't miss future One Piece reviews and updates. Now, without further ado, let's jump into it. Spoilers and all. This chapter is called How to Define Death, a throwback to something Vegapunk said in chapter 1123. As we'll see, Vegapunk will be relevant again in this chapter. The chapter starts in Egghead. Marines are talking about the Seraphim, who are being recharged before being taken to the Marine ships. Lucci and Kaku are boarding the Marine ships too. Nice to see that as Lucci wanted. Kaku made it. One of the agents asks for Stussy, but Lucci replies that he killed her. Lucci's face shows no emotion, but Kaku's face is hidden, and it seems he's holding back his emotions. We don't see Stussy in this chapter, but I am hesitant to believe that Lucci killed her just like that. Not only is One Piece notorious for bringing back characters that are supposedly dead, as we'll see in this very chapter, but Stussy was a really cool character with a seemingly yet-to-be-named mysterious but very cool vampire-like devil fruit. So, I'd be surprised if we've seen the last of her. We then cut to Saturn, who's still on Egghead. He's remembering what happened in Mary Geoise 200 years ago. Saturn was the one who, 200 years ago, ordered a group of scientists from that time to destroy the ancient giant robot Emmet, but they chose to hide it instead, to study it in secret. Keep in mind that Emmet, and by extension Joy Boy, played a big role in helping the Straw Hat crew escape. Think about the distraction of the broadcast that was made possible by the transmission snail being inside of Emmet, what Emmet did physically. And then, of course, releasing that Joy Boy Hacky Blast, which sent 3 elders, including the strongest ones from the looks of it, back where they came from. By not ensuring that Emmet was destroyed, Saturn is responsible in a big way for the world government's failure here. Then Saturn talks with the 9 vice admirals. Saturn says that they got everything they came for: the power plant, York, and Punk Records. But they also suffered a great failure. You see, he's trying to put a positive spin on it, but one doubts IMU will see it that way. The vice admirals apologize and say they will go to Elbaf immediately to catch Straw Hat, but Saturn says it's not necessary. From the world government's perspective, it probably should be necessary after Luffy embarrassed them so badly here. But obviously, 9 vice admirals wouldn't be able to do anything anyway, so there's no real point in them going. Saturn says that the greatest failure they made was allowing Vegapunk's message to be broadcast throughout the world. And if you'll remember, that greatest failure was also the result of Saturn failing to dispose of Emmet when he had the chance, because he didn't. Vegapunk could use him as an effective hiding place for his transmission snail. Then something really crazy happens. Vice Admiral Doberman says, "Saint Saturn, as a soldier of the government, I would like to ask this question. If our action is considered a failure, then does that mean Vegapunk told the truth in his message?" Then Saturn, without a word, blows Doberman's head off with his powers, the same thing he did to people in chapter 1094. So, not only did he cost the world government a vice admiral, but he also seemingly ended a character that was introduced back during chapter 420, just like that. Gilton screams out, "Vice Admiral Doberman!" The Marines shout, "Wake up the medical team, Vice Admiral!" However, I don't know how useful the medical team would be with a blown-off head. The point is, Saturn is not looking like an asset for the world government at this point. That's for sure. Not only did they lose a vice admiral, but the other 8 surely won't appreciate what was done to one of their own just for asking a simple question. We then cut to the Laba phase, and York notices that the cloud machine is working by itself. She tries to stop it, but it's too late, and Punk Records, the upper part of the giant egg, detaches itself from Egghead Island and flies away thanks to the clouds. Man, Vegapunk really thought of everything here. York's response is, "Damn it, they took the Punk Records." We then cut to Mary Geoise. We see that the food shortage crisis is everywhere, and the celestial dragons are panicking. We then see Figurlin Garling, wearing an elegant suit in contrast, walking to the room of authority. Garling enters and sits in one of the chairs. Then he addresses the other 4 informally. He says, "I'm here because I just received an order." Maruri says, "What is with your tone, Garling? Watch your mouth." But the informality suddenly starts to make sense, as Figurland says, "From this moment on, Vegapunk York will be placed under my direct command, and I will assume the position of the warrior god of science and defense." The other 5 elders are stunned. knowing what this means. One of them says, "It can't be." But we do get a narrator's introduction to confirm this, as it's written. 5 elders, St. Figurlin Garling, warrior god of science and defense. Garling says, "It will get messy from here. The world will be in a state of turmoil like never seen before. Let's make the world a better place together, my fellow elders." I know what you're thinking. What will happen to replace Saturn now? Well, thankfully, Oda immediately gives us this answer. We cut to Egghead, and we see Saturn fall on the floor and scream in front of the shocked vice admirals. Black flames and lightning erupt from Saturn's body. Saturn screams in anguish and thinks it couldn't be Imu-sama. We see his body rapidly grow older and wrinkled like a mummy. The vice admirals are still shocked, and they don't know what to do. Then Saturn hears Imu's voice in his head. Imu says, "Saturn, why did you let Joy Boy escape?" Hilariously, Saturn says, "Please have mercy," even though he's never had it himself. He continues, saying, "His power is unpredictable, beyond my comprehension." He screams, and there's a huge explosion of black flames and lightning. After the flames die down, only Saturn's skeleton remains on the floor. So, of course, Saturn got exactly what he deserved. But we've also learned a lot about Imu's powers. Our theory that the elders get powers from Imu is confirmed. I said before that I think their powers, which weren't introduced as devil fruits, could be Imu-granted powers, and this does bode well for that theory. At the very least, they do get their immortality from Imu, and Imu can take it away at any point. When I read the initial spoilers, I was wondering why Imu focused on Saturn versus any other elder, because the other elders didn't get the job done either. But this chapter definitely gave good reasons for that. Not only did he lead this mission and was the one who went there in person, but he's also the reason Emmet was able to interfere, and even unleash Joy Boy Hockey, which spooked Imu big time. With Garling taking over, we know that he'll become immortal too. We also now know that Imu picks existing, probably strong, people and grants them the power of Elder. He doesn't just create the Elders from scratch, as some theories proposed. We definitely learned a lot about the Elders and Imu's powers in this one, and this definitely keeps the story interesting. With now Figurlin Garling, who we know is strong and related to Shanks, gaining immortality, we saw that Luffy besting Saturn wasn't that hard. But I doubt he could punch Figurlin Garling into shreds so easily. We then cut to the flying Punk Records, already far, far away from Egghead Island. We discover that Shaka, Edison, Pythagoras, and Atlas are alive, and they're talking about York and Punk Records. Pythagoras says brainwaves can connect to this place from anywhere in the world, so it's possible for York to access this brain's information too. Edison says, "I know, but it's better than just leaving it intact in our hands, right? We will take care of it until humanity figures out how to use this brain well." Shaka says, "Because York shot us, we failed to take the laboratory with us too." Pythagoras says, "And we can't invent right now due to a lack of budget and materials." Edison speaks again, saying, "That is where our friend will come in." A curious statement. We see that inside the Egg Dome, there is a long corridor with many replacement parts for the Vegapunk clones. Bodies, heads, arms, and so on. The Vegapunks built a new body with the replacements, combining Edison's head, Shaka's body and legs, Atlas's left arm, and Pythagoras' right arm. All 4 of them are talking inside the same brain, but we don't hear Stella talking this chapter, probably because that would cheapen the death of the original Vegapunk and everything Kizaru went through afterwards as well. So it's possible we won't be seeing or hearing from Stella anymore, just the others. Once the Frankenstein mixed and matched body is complete, Edison says, "There. What do you think?" Atlas says, "It's weird," and laughs. Shaka asks, "Are you jealous of my normal proportions?" Edison responds, "Of course not." Atlas suggests throwing away all the York parts, and Edison laughs and says, "Good point, can't stand them." It's funny how they are all Vegapunk, and yet they can have such funny conversations together. I love it. Edison then calls Nami's tutor Haruta in with Arya. It's cool that they can just make calls like this as well. Edison says, "Hello, Arya, this is Vegapunk here." Haruta says, What? What do you want? And aren't you dead?" I love the fact that he asks, "What do you want?" before the "aren't you dead" part, which should obviously come first in this situation. Then, as promised, we get to the dragon part. We jump to Kamabaka. Koala is summarizing Vegapunk's speech for everyone. Betty says, "So our world is sinking into the ocean?" Sabo says that it makes sense. The celestial dragons live on top of the Red Line, the highest location in the world. A good observation on his part. Ivanov says, that's why the world government ordered slaves to build giant bridges at Tequila Wolf, Vodka Wolf, Rum Wolf, and Bourbon Wolf since 700 years ago. Karasu concurs, saying, yes, they all have a purpose. Dragon, for his part, is standing on the beach and talking to himself. He says, Vegapunk, There's no guarantee that people who believe in your last words will only make preparations for peace. We must hurry up and finish this, or the fight among the citizens to secure a safe place to live will arrive soon. This is smart of Dragon to point out. It could be hard to organize people properly if they are panicking and fighting each other for land and resources. Dragon, more than ever, is making it clear that he has to act quickly, so hopefully he will actually act quickly this time. We're still waiting for that big dragon moment, and Oda seems to be saying, "You won't have to wait much longer, I promise." Let me know your thoughts on this insane chapter. If you did enjoy this one, then you won't want to miss this video about Imu's powers. Like and subscribe for more One Piece, and I'll see you in the next one. Let me know if this works.